Welcome, gender conscious friends. I'm your host, Faight. My pronouns are they, he, she, and I'm so glad the simulation brought you here today. This is Our Lives, Gender Included, where I and another gender conscious friend talk about things found in everyday life and how gender, if at all, affects those topics. This episode's topic is ADHD, but before I intro our guest, I gotta get the important stuff out of the way. First of all, I want to say happy birthday to our gender conscious friend Kieran, the guest of this episode. Coincidentally, this episode will be uploaded the day of their birthday, which was not an intended thing I did, but a lovely surprise. Also, I want to apologize for this episode being slightly longer than usual, but I felt like it was a really good episode and I had a really good time recording it and editing it, and I think you'll enjoy it, even though it is 5 minutes over how long I would usually have an episode. Also, I want to say thank you to all of the listeners and everyone who helps make this podcast possible, especially this podcast's first financial supporter, Danielle M. Thank you again so much, Danielle M. Also, if you can, please rate and review the podcast if the platform that you are listening on so supports it. It's super helpful. It lets brands know that this is a podcast that people like, so that way they want to do ads and brand deals and shit with me. I don't know, but it'd be really cool to eventually make this like my job. So if you could do that, that would be super helpful. Also, if you're into the social media things, all of the links will be on my website, lyricallyfaight.wixsite.com. So that's Faight. It has my TikTok, which I use a lot, my Insta, which I use sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes, my Twitter, which I don't use a lot at all, but if you follow me there, thank you. My YouTube, which I swear I'm trying, but it is so hard to find time to make YouTube videos. A link to this podcast if you would like to share it with someone. A link to a wish list if you would like to get me a present. A link to the Patreon if you would like extra benefits in exchange for supporting me in this podcast. And also a link to my Redbubble. On my Redbubble, I have just added a sticker and magnet you can get, which is a picture of the cover art for this podcast and the Spotify link, which I think is pretty cool. And I ordered a bunch of them and I'm going to put them up around my town. And also, eventually, after I do that, I'm going to do a giveaway where I give away 2 of the different stickers. So there'll be more information on the giveaway for those stickers. It's not going to be like a big deal because it's just stickers, but like, you know, I'm excited. So with that, on to the episode.
Hello.
So this is our gender conscious friend here _XE. Is that what you said?
Yeah, EXE, like the extension
EXE.
file.
Oh,
yes.
How would you feel about telling us about your gender journey? Kind of just like how you got to where you are right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a very interesting journey. Because it came with a lot of twists and turns. Mm-hmm. To me, as a child, gender wasn't anything. Mm-hmm. I just kind of did stuff. I was always known as a tomboy. Whenever the teacher asked for some strong boys to carry a chair, I just was like, I'll get my own chair. It wasn't like in the like I'm not like the other girls, I'm one of you type of way. It's more in the I'll carry my own. And
yeah, like I'm just minding my own business.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would wear skirts and stuff. I went to a private school for a couple years, and we didn't have a uniform, but my mom would get me skirts and stuff, and I never had an issue wearing them. But, like, I was always wearing like cargo shorts and just kind of running around, being in a ruckus. My mom was always sad she didn't have girly girls. My younger sibling was very much like me, and I just kind of always grew up not envying the boys section, but I always thought it was like some like mystical realm because I really liked the color green, and there's a lot of greens and blues. And all the stuff seemed a lot more durable. A lot more like, if you want to go run around and like have a pair of cargo shorts, by God, you can run around with a pair of cargo shorts. Gender to me was just something that allowed me to get into cargo shorts. So, but my parents didn't raise me too gendered. I had some issues with when it came time for me to like start learning like bodily health when it's like, fifth grade, you start having, certain age appropriate talks about, changes your body might be going through. I was not a huge fan of the terminology. I just was like, I was weirdly uncomfortable by it, and I never knew why. Cue me turning, I think, okay, I'm about to admit to breaking the law just a little bit. I made a Tumblr account a couple days before my 13th birthday.
How dare you?
I made sure I didn't go on it. I didn't use it. I just made it. I was prepared. So it was a couple days shy of my 13th birthday when you're allowed to have a Tumblr account. See, I found Super Hulock on Pinterest, which if you're wondering where that fandom went, it went on Pinterest for some reason.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is great. The internet, so cool. And, I started learning what certain words meant. And, like, we had my family has, like, my dad's coworker was married to another mutual friend, but they got divorced, and she married a woman. So I learned, oh, that's what a lesbian is. No judgment at all. My parents were, very accepting, very open. And I kind of like started learning things about myself, I never really thought too much about gender. I was like, I'm happy as I am. I tried they, them pronouns. It didn't really work for me. So I just was like, I just am as I am. I never really thought about it. And then I was like, okay, well, I know I'm bisexual now because I could see myself dating a guy or a girl equally. And that number was 0, by the way. I didn't realize that. I consider myself a bi-ace guy. Now, but like, I just kind of was like, okay, this is as it is. And I met, oh my gosh, I think I met my first, I met trans friends, and I become friends with trans people, which I'd only really met online. And I'm going to say their old name, and it's like an old username, not like a dead name or anything. Yeah. Their name was Merlu. Which was just really cool, and they were super cool. But I kind of learned some, aspects of trans life, and I was not like raised in a very hateful environment, so I was kind of like, okay, this is what it is. And I don't remember why, but I just remember thinking, well, I could never do that. Like, I would never want to exist that much to people. Like, I wouldn't want to have to go to everyone in my life and be like, hey, so about that, I was really afraid to take up space as a kid. But that kind of led me into this period of, I guess, like some, not great mental health as a teenager. As your body's changing, you get adult hormones. Which is great. And, I don't know exactly how long it was, but I know this took place in 8th grade. I would have probably turned 13 in fall of that year, which is 2017, which is a little bit crazy. But I don't remember most of the night, but what had happened was I was crying in my bedroom at night. It's probably around 11, 12, and not too crazy late. And I just was like, stuff would be so much easier if I was a guy. And then like lightning struck. I could just be a guy. And that like knocked me on my ass for some reason. I was like, oh. And I just went to bed, nothing more. And then the next day I was like, holy shit. My dad was driving me to school. We just dropped up for my younger sibling. And I was like, whoa. I was just kind of like always into guy stuff,
Uh-huh.
I was always a huge fan of this. I was always looking forward to this. And I was like, I'm going to wait on this till college. And that didn't happen. My younger sibling came out as non-binary way before I came out as trans. And they had accidentally outed me to my dad in conversation. And I just said, oh, I'm waiting till college on that. And it was during COVID, I want to say. So 2020. So skip forward a handful of years, and I was annoyed at my father for misgendering my younger sibling. Because of course I don't stand up for myself. I stand up for my younger sibling. And I was like, hey, why don't you ever use, my younger sibling's pronouns? And he was like, aren't you trans? And I was like, no, yeah, but that's not the point. And then I've been out ever since then, which it's a very funny way to come out, I guess. But I'm sticking to my guns and staying with my younger sibling. And it was a lot to get used to for my parents. They have always been open-minded, but, I very much understand how hard it is to learn about these words, because I had to learn about them by myself on the internet. It definitely took me a while. First person they pronouns. It's a struggle. I can empathize with a lot of confusion, I guess, when you're first learning about it.
Like initial gap in knowledge.
Yeah, which I do see for some people nowadays. I of course, I don't agree with being nasty while you're doing it, which, but I can definitely see where some people are coming from when they voice their concerns. But I have been thankfully, able to be in a very, I'm from the South, pretty darn deep South, South Kakalaki, as we do in fact call ourselves here in South Carolina. But I have been able to be out, and that's been amazing. I started testosterone in January of this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm on the gel because needles are scary, but it's been amazing. I didn't realize that I had some voice dysphoria until recently. With now how deep my voice is, I'm like, holy moly, I love this.
Yeah.
It's been a weird journey. I really thank my in-person friends who I had a very special situation, because the South is very diverse in terms of population, more than I want to say the Northerners think.
Yeah, I went to Texas for PAX a couple of years ago, and I was like, there's just Black people here. Hold on. Yeah,
I
didn't know that was.
I had a huge amount of, except for my private school, which I'm now learning more about, and it was created because of integration of schools, which that's cool. Love to see that. But I went to, my graduating class was 856 to say how many kids I had. It was just hugely diverse. And I'm very thankful to my friend group, who I definitely learned with them, and we kind of became very knowledgeable together. But my friend group was really diverse as a kid, and I got to learn, especially about different faiths, like Islam and Hinduism and different variants of Christianity.
Cool.
And I think that being in that environment helped me, take to learning about the world better. And I'm very thankful to these people for supporting me, and no matter what their background was, even just, willing to be my friend. Like one of my friends, she's a Mormon, and her parents are pretty homophobic, and she is not. She's totally cool with the trans stuff too, but like she wouldn't have been if I wasn't a part of her life, and I wouldn't have been, informed about like what she has going on without her being a part of mine. And yeah, I'm rambling a bit, but I think that's
it's totally fine.
That's the journey I've been on. Do you have a moment where you were like, "Holy shit"? Like kind of like a not like come to Jesus moment, but like whacked in the face with a frying pan, where you're like, "Oh,"
like about my gender?
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah. I kind of figured out during the pandemic when like I didn't have to be around people and like perform my femininity for people. So like it was already that happening, and then on top of that, I gotten on TikTok.
I've heard that made a lot of sense for a lot of people.
And like I'm seeing a bunch of trans people on my For You page, but I'm like, yeah, it's because like I'm friends with trans people, like I'm cool with trans people, duh, that's why they're on my For You page, whatever. And then I see a couple videos where people are talking about cis people don't question their gender. And I'm like, excuse me? No, because I am. And then I was like, but am I? And then I like thought about it and I was like, huh.
So, do you identify as non-binary? I'm just kind of curious.
For people who don't know anything about gender, I will say I'm non-binary. For people who do know things about gender, I'm specifically genderqueer.
That's awesome. Yeah. I kind of have something similar. I will say I'm a trans man, but I actually I identify slightly as non-binary. I don't say that in circles where people only really understand, you can go from A to Z and Z to A, and that is the two choices you have.
And then there's this secret third one that people don't like. Ew. Like
there's the third one, and it means that you wear terrible brown clothing that's just overalls and baggy, like potato sack clothing.
Yep.
Thank you, capitalism. But I consider myself non-binary. It makes me feel kind of sad sometimes, the way that the whole gender situation is explained and kind of understood. Because sometimes you see in like, especially like, I was going to say queer, but I was trying to think about what you titled the show, like gender inclusive. Is that what you were saying?
You mean like when I introduce you? I say gender conscious friends.
Gender conscious. Well, I guess to the gender conscious crowd, it means it's not as much as a strict barrier. Because sometimes when I'm on TikTok, I see what I assume to be cis women. I see them talking about men, and it makes me feel really uncomfortable because I relate a lot to the cis women, and I've had experiences similar, and I will continue to have experiences similar because the same situations they're in, if, for example, a cishet man does not see me as a woman, I will not be treated as if I were being seen as a cishet man. And it's been very.
Like, if you want to have children one day, then you would go through the same thing that like a cis woman would.
Yeah, and like I'd be willing to have a child. I mean, I don't know with my health, but my future is up in the air. But it makes me feel very sad that I guess women have historically been seen as more progressive, especially on issues as these, and just seeing people able to exist without thinking of trans people as if that it's optional. Kind of like you can see people not think about racial issues or mental health issues.
Did you see
and
that?
It's heartbreaking.
Did you see that senator who was like, the birth death rates aren't that low if you just take out black women?
Oh my God. Oh, don't get me started. that should disqualify you from being a public official. Oh, it's totally fine if we ignore the problem.
I just want to say that this episode's topic is ADHD, and not only have we not touched on ADHD, but this is the most ADHD episode ever. Like, how did we?
And we're talking about racial issues in America. You'll love to see it. Hey, we have to stay on brand.
I do want to ask you actual ADHD questions. Hold on. So, do you have a formal diagnosis, or are you self-diagnosed?
I have a very formal diagnosis.
Everybody noticed immediately.
I got cool guy syndrome, and now I got to take Adderall. Actually, it's funny you ask that. When I was in elementary school at my private school I went to for a couple of years, I didn't. Well, in 4K, I didn't get along with my teacher. And she was like, you needed to send your kid to 3K because they are rowdy. And I was literally like 4, which that was her issue. Hey, Miss M, suck it. I don't care. I'm in school. I don't know. You were so mean to little kid me. Dude, I got pushed on the playground and I was like, hey, teacher, this person pushed me. And there was like a hospital nearby. And she's like, well, do you need to go to the hospital? It's like, no, but
that was I hated when my parents would say that, like, my arm would hurt and they'd be like, do we need to go to the hospital and get it cut off? I feel like, no.
Yes, please.
Oh my God, no.
I want compassion. Please be nice to me as I am a baby human. But in 3rd grade, my teacher had me tested because I was experiencing symptoms. But I mean, again, this was kind of going back to the idea of girl ADHD or guy ADHD, kind of like what symptoms are. I was very chatty, a little bit disorganized, and the result was inconclusive. And my mom kind of was like, I don't want to forcibly medicate my kid in case they don't need it. I'm not going to go for further testing. And she was kind of uncomfortable with me getting a diagnosis and being put on medication. And I had to really fight for my right to party to get a formal diagnosis because I was interested in treatment. And she was really worried that once I started, I couldn't stop. They wouldn't let me go off meds ever. So I really, I think it took me getting brain damage. Okay, so that sounds really bad. I got 2 concussions in high school a month apart in 10th grade. And then immediately as I was recovering, COVID happened. So I've had a really fun couple years. I didn't even get him playing sports. I got one playing D&D in a jiu-jitsu gym, not even doing jitsu, playing D&D. Nerds go that hard. And the second one, my friend pulled a chair out from underneath me in homeroom, and like a Mortal Kombat finishing move, I fell and hit my head on the chair. All right. But I noticed my symptoms, kind of getting worse once my brain reformed. And funnily enough, the guy who pulled the chair out from underneath me on accident, he liked to pull my chair backwards. It was a rolly chair, and I was sitting on the edge of it, so it wasn't on purpose. He has the most intense ADHD I've ever seen. But when I was talking to him,
crank that up for you real quick.
Oh my God, he's on like some sort of like patch medication. He is like, I love him. He's doing like 3 majors. He's got his own thing going on. I love him so much. But I remember talking to him and being like, I really think I have ADHD. And he was like, no, you do not. I have ADHD and I do not think you do. And it wasn't malicious or anything. He just was like, you are able to do certain things. Yeah. You can focus in class, but I just liked what class was going on. Yeah. And it got to the point where I started having focus issues. And I went, the doctor was a little bit just like, oh, this could just be teenage girl stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I hate you. I think I started crying because I was just like, oh my God, I am emotionally fucked up at this point. Yeah. And I ended up going and deciding to get put on medication. I got put on Vyvanse. Okay. That was not a good long-term choice.
What is the difference between Vyvanse and what you're on now?
So Vyvanse is originally a anti-bulimia drug that they figured out works for ADHD.
Okay.
It really stifled my appetite.
Okay.
I lost like 25 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
No, I lost 30 pounds.
So
wait,
it's for anti-bulimia?
Yeah, it's like supposed to like make you. I don't know. Let me search for Vyvanse really fast.
Yeah, hold on. That seems like that would just make eating disorders worse. Hold on.
Vyvanse.
You don't even have to
Is
puke, just
binge
take your medicine.
eating disorder.
Oh,
binge
okay.
eating disorder.
Okay.
And ADHD for some fucking reason.
Sure,
sorry,
sure.
pardon my French.
It's okay. I don't really know anything about the French, but I do curse. So.
Yeah. So I was on Vyvanse, and I remember the first day I had it, I was like, "Holy shit!"
Mm-hmm.
It was like night and day.
Mm-hmm.
I was like able to do things. The second day, I was kind of like it wasn't the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I will
it
go
wasn't
in.
that much of a contrast.
Yeah, it wasn't that much of a contrast, and I kind of was like, oh, and then I would think I was on Vyvanse for maybe 2 months. Part of it was the price. It was like, even with insurance, and we have, pretty decent insurance, it was like $90 for a month. So I start talking to my doctor, is there a cheaper option? And my mom was very hesitant, and like my parents were like, because it was Adderall. And you hear a lot of things about Adderall. It's got a lot of brand recognition, but it is cheap as dirt. And it turned out to be really good for me. So I don't want to go too sciencey. Just to
if you want to get sciencey, I think it'd be interesting.
So, one of the things my parents were concerned of was addiction for me. But stimulants do not affect the ADHD brain as they would the neurotypical brain.
In the same way.
For example, people with ADHD will often drink caffeine, and that makes them focus or makes them kind of sleepy. It's more, it feels that urge. It feels that and kind of allows them to function better. So instead of like, oh my God, energy, it's, I can focus really well. And I've been able to drink certain like caffeinated drinks and like focus pretty well with them. And instead of giving the effect of an amphetamine, of like crazy energy, like able to stay up very late, it gives more of a so I think it's I forget exactly what is I think it's like dopamine deficiency, right? Because with SSRIs, it's also a dopamine deficiency, but I feel like in a different way. SSRIs are selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which are for antidepressants. So that's for serotonin, but dopamine is with ADHD. And so if we don't get the feel-good chemical, we don't want to do something. So that's why you'll get hyper-focused, because when you enjoy something, when you're happy, that means you can do it because, you're getting the feel-good. But if it doesn't spark joy, Mary Kondo, we're not doing it. So it's not the same as someone without. And, an actual person who's prescribed it is a lot less likely to become addicted than someone who's taking it kind of, I guess, like not legally, like from other people when you do not necessarily need the medication and it's not being used for you in the right way. I found, so when I was on Vyvanse still, first like 3 months, I started Lexapro too. Lexapro is an antidepressant that's normally prescribed for people with high anxiety as well. And that also helped me. A lot of my stuff, it's been like overall health stability because I now have POTS, which I not developed from COVID. I just kind of got it for fun, as a little treat for me. But once my levels with everything, because I have to take a heart medication and I take an antidepressant and take my Adderall, it makes it a lot easier to function, when your body wants to work with you. Mm-hmm. So I found that not only did the Adderall help, get that dopamine up, but having stability in other parts of my health really helped. Because, if you're POTS, which I'll go into for a second, is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which means that your heart cannot regulate your blood pressure from sitting to standing to laying down, which can lead to dizziness, to fainting, to troubles focusing, to exhaustion. And I still have some issues focusing and exhaustion, but now that I'm on a heart medication, it makes it a lot easier. My blood pressure is a lot more normal. I also have to increase my salt intake and make sure I'm not dehydrated or skipping meals. But once I was able to have that regularity, it really helped my ability to kind of remember things. If on a bad day, on a good day, I could write down a to-do list and I could get, let's say I have, out of 10 things, I could get 3 things done. Yeah. On a bad day, the to-do list might not even be written.
Yeah.
Nowadays, on a bad day, I can do a handful of things. And on a good day, I can do even more. I have limits. And with my other health issues, I noticed that there's trends for me. Like if I'm not sleeping well, my ADHD can be pretty bad. But that's also influenced by my larger health. So it is often that ADHD is comorbid with autism. And it's also seen as comorbid with OCD and anxiety and depression, which are all things caused by how people treat you, which is really fun. Because which is kind of I heard a take recently, and I kind of agree with it. I've done some basic studies in psychology, and I'm by no means an expert. I do see a therapist. Shout out to my therapist. I'll see her tomorrow.
Nice.
But have you ever heard of rejection sensitivity dysphoria?
Yes. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I have heard of it.
So it's essentially just an extreme discomfort when you perceive being rejected or ignored. Which I heard someone saying that it kind of feels like imposter syndrome, where it's more like that's just a symptom of generalized anxiety or mistreatment in the past, where you're gonna have a reaction when your needs aren't being met, but that's more of you have been mistreated and you've had your boundaries ignored and your needs put aside for so long that it impacts you negatively, and and kind of the idea of having a name on that being it's a condition where it's it's on me. This is my fault. This is something I'm dealing with, rather than hey, everyone around me has been treating me really nasty, which is a really fun thing to realize when you have ADHD. And I believe that I'm also autistic. My therapist agrees. I've been looking at going to a psychiatrist. I do not think I'm pushing for an autism diagnosis, because we live in the hellscape that is America, and sometimes a formal diagnosis can make stuff slightly worse.
Yeah,
especially when it comes to autism.
I did do an episode on autism.
Hell yeah!
With one of my friends, my gender conscious friend Theo, and that's what we were talking about. One of the episodes, how we're both self-diagnosed, and it would be great to get a formal diagnosis, but also just some of the stigma and the things that you can't do because you have a diagnosis is ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember I downloaded a dating app, which I don't ever know what I was thinking, because I'm just a very shy, get to know people person. But I met this really cool trans gal. I think she was in Georgia, and she was telling me how she wants to get treatment for she thinks she has BPD, and how she would never be able to work as an EMT, because you are not allowed to be an EMT if you have BPD, which I I am just so sad to hear that. And I understand that a condition like that can be very difficult. I have a friend, kind of former friend, who has we had a very significant falling out over misunderstanding, and they apologized to me, but the entire situation, essentially they had their BPD weaponized by the people around them into them being like the mean one who was able to like say stuff and get stuff done, and that involved some negative stuff with me. And I don't blame them. I know that they're actively in recovery, and it's not like a death sentence. Having this condition doesn't make you bad. Yeah. You're not a bad person if you're a narcissist. You're not a bad person if you have BPD. And especially mental health professionals like to treat you like you are, which drives me up the wall. And
not give you diagnoses because they know that other people will treat you differently and like shit if you have a diagnosis.
No. The thing I hate is the way that some mental health professionals will talk about them like they're monsters. Yeah. And like it's just a condition, and it really is. Yeah.
And like it doesn't make you a different person if you get the diagnosis. You are always that person.
If you run the risk of, talking to literally anyone who you don't know their background, you need to be caring and empathetic. And I feel like that is something that, especially regarding the autistic community, is not given enough, where they will see this as something in a book and not as real people. And if you do not check the boxes, if you do not tick the tally, you are not that. And that kind of goes back into the whole autism and self-diagnosis thing where, I mean, there can be some issues, but like, really, when you think about it, it's just kind of what ifs. It's like, oh, what if this person uses resources? Well, how many resources are really out there? And how likely are you able to use them if you don't have a formal diagnosis? A lot of times it's just people helping people. And oftentimes, if you're able to be like, well, through my lived experience, because you are obviously the professional in your own life, because you live it every single day, this is what I think is going on. And if it's not that, you're on the right track.
On TikTok where it's like different, like I don't know if I have ADHD. I do think that I have autism, but I haven't really looked that well into ADHD. But like I love those like ADHD videos where they're like different ways to set up your home to make it more functional. And I'm like,
those make me really happy.
I'm like, that's fucking helpful. I'm like, my clothes are in buckets right now because I can't deal with dressers and closets.
That was I was doing a project on the floor earlier. I took the doors off my closet and like the way to my sink because like I always hated not having line of sight. I'm now letting like my organization not have to be perfect, but just be functional enough for me.
Yeah, and functional.
That's kind of a difference between like I feel like the living with and learning to make your life the best for you versus the signs you have autism, like fun content farm.
Yeah.
I feel like the main issue is the content farming aspect of it. Where it's just like, oh, we're turning this into a, hit a repost if you have this dumb, can't focus. But really, at the end of the day, if you don't have a certain condition and you're like, I mean, of course, there is something to be said of doing it for attention, which if you're doing it for attention, there's probably something else going on, and you probably deserve
something
help,
and you should, be getting help for.
And if you are learning about your health, and you are able to say, "Well, this is something I think I might be, I think I might have anxiety. So here are some techniques I can do to make myself more able to go about my day."
Yes,
because it's not the same as going to therapy, because going to therapy isn't always accessible to everyone.
Okay, so before we go, I do have some queer themed games for you.
Let's have a game.
I have 2 games. Play Does This Give You Gender Envy? So I'm going to give you a random thing, and you'll basically just explain yes or no if it gives you gender envy. Okay?
All right, can do.
Okay, so the first one is a kite stuck in a tree.
Gender lament.
gender lament.
Yeah. Gender woe.
You're like, no, I changed the rules.
I break your no, I guess. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. That was just so funny. Okay, the second one is a glass doorknob.
A glass doorknob?
Mm-hmm.
Something so functional yet so delicate.
Mm-hmm.
I could get a bit of envy from that. I'm glad you're not just naming skinny
oh no.
brown-haired guys with glasses.
You haven't listened to the episode. Basically, I just like list random things. Like I think for one of them I was like
random things is good.
I was like a left boot and somebody was like, "Oh, what?"
brass candlesticks? That's kind of gender.
Oh, one of them? Oh, the one for autism was a melted candle. And of course we both said yes, feel that. Because obviously. Okay, and then the third one is a rotting jack-o'-lantern.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
That's some gender woe right there.
I don't exactly know what gender woe means.
Neither do I.
You say that, I'm like, I don't know what this means. That's not what I said.
Gender wistfulness. Gender is a state of mind, you know.
Okay, so the second game that I have for you is would you give them a queer happy ending? Okay.
Okay.
So in your form, when you signed up, you sent like a couple TV shows that you like to watch. So I picked 2 of them and 1 character from each TV show, and you would just tell me for each character what their own in-universe happy ending, queer happy ending would be.
This is a surprise because I do not remember that form at all. I remember I filled it out. I found you on TikTok. I filled it out, and that was months ago at this point.
Yeah, that was
but yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, that was like the end of May. Anyway.
Oh God.
But yeah, okay. So the first one is Daryl from Letterkenny.
Daryl from Letterkenny. I've not finished the show, but he seems to be in a very... So they're just kind of like guys on a farm, just like quipping at each other and just like kind of enjoying... And they have like little fun things. But I feel like he's definitely on the road to his happy ending as it is.
But is it a queer happy ending?
I feel like... I don't know if this character is necessarily queer, but he's very confident in his masculinity. Okay. All the characters in Letterkenny are very... well, all the main characters being like Daryl... I haven't watched the show in months. I don't even know if his name's Daryl, Danny Boy. But he has this very super soft birthday party where they like have like a unicorn and like party streamers, and he just does it every year. And
so
honestly,
what you're saying is he has bi-wife energy.
He has bi-wife energy. He's ace, I think.
Okay.
He's always like looking after girls, but like I think he's just happy doing his own thing.
Okay. All right. And then the second one is Angela from Bones.
Angela from Bones. She is bisexual.
Mm-hmm. I did not know that. I have not watched Bones since I was like 6.
She has she marries a guy who definitely has bi-wife energy, and they have kids together, and they're very happy. If you would have said Zach from this show, I could have gone on for hours because he is very autistic and he is done so dirty, and I love him with my entire heart.
So what would be your queer happy ending for Zach then?
I would say that essentially he confesses to a murder that he did not commit. He just thinks if he was put on the spot, he would have committed it. So he's like, I have to take the fall. And he gets locked up in jail and then a psych institute. He's like a super genius. I want him to have, just a happy ending. He's always interested in dating girls, but he doesn't really date. I just want him to like live the fun science life that he deserves.
Get a fun science boyfriend.
Yeah, he deserves it. Fun. I could be the fun science boyfriend. Hello, fake character.
With me.
Yes. Just become real. Zach Addy, my beloved.
That's great.
You're just like me for real.
So, do you have anything that you want to promote?
So I do Twitch. Sadly. I don't know why I always say sadly. So here's a fun thing. I am in a stream team. We've all kind of had stuff going on. So we've not been streaming as often, but it's called Trans Lefts, a joke on trans rights. So Trans Lefts, and it's me, the wonderful Primrose, just Prim, I guess, is her URL, and add on the AM53, who is Adam. I love him so much. Everyone in this group is trans, and we're all good buddies. But I am on Twitch TV as Kier_EXE. I guess I'm kind of a variety guy, but I'm very obviously ADHD when I play stuff. I play games wrong and bad. I like to go play Skyrim and pick all the flowers. I like to just have a fun time. But I'm on there. I also have a Twitter for that. My personal Twitter is, I think, Kier_JPG, because I got the whole tech theme. But I guess another thing I'll say is at the end of my streams, I normally will say, thank you for everything that's going on. And I always ask people to, if they're able to do something nice or, think about doing something for their community, whether it's donating time, donating, resources, just, being aware of stuff, or even if it's just like complimenting people or seeing what's going on with people, be good at people, be good at yourself, be good at people. So if Twitch is not your thing, drink some water, have some food, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Shout out.
But thank you so much for joining me again.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again to Kieran for joining me on the topic of ADHD. And once again, happy birthday, Kieran. Our Lives, Gender Included is created by Faitze, hosted by Faitze, edited by Faitze, and produced by Faitze, and partially financially supported by Danielle M. To access my socials, you can go to my website, lyricallyfaight.wixsite.com/Faitze. The link will be in the description, and you'll find the links to all of the socials I have. And if you click the support page, you can support me financially via a one-time donation on my PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. And you can subscribe to Anchor to just support this podcast, or you can subscribe to my Patreon at the various tiers I offer for different benefits. Also, you can buy my art on Redbubble. I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. You can buy like mugs and hats, and I don't know, I think it's cool. And I'm trying to get time to, but as soon as I can, I will upload my Halloween art because your boy loves the spooky season, and I don't want to brag or anything, but I think you might like my Halloween art. Okay? Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your day in the simulation.